All right, so now we see that shooting is properly pointing the rifle with consistent sight alignment and firing the rifle without moving it, utilizing smooth trigger control. All right, putting that all together, we call it the integrated active firing. If you do these two things, it's very, very easy to shoot accurate shots no matter what distance you're at or what weapon system you're using. So now that we went through the fundamentals of marksmanship, now let's look at the positions portion of the class. All right, the purpose of any firing position is to support the two basic fundamentals of marksmanship, which are sight alignment and trigger control. Any good position has three basic elements that you want to incorporate. You have support, which are both artificial and bone support. You have muscular relaxation, and you have your natural point of aim. We're going to look at each of these three and show you how to gain from them. All right, so what is the most stable platform that you can shoot from? The ground. All right. The purpose of a good position is to transfer the stability of the ground up into the position through use of artificial and bone support. All right, so next we have muscular relaxation. All right, if you have a good, solid position that has really good artificial and bone support, your muscles will be relaxed. The less muscle tension you have, the less movement you're going to have on the rifle. All right, remember that comfort equals relaxed. If you're not very comfortable, it's going to be hard for you to stay in a position for more than a few seconds without the rifle moving a lot. So you need to be really relaxed in the position. You need to have good, solid support. It's going to allow you to stay there for a longer period of time. All right, and lastly, we have your natural point of aim. All right. Natural point of aim is nothing more than where your body is naturally pointing when you get into a firing position and manipulate that firing position. All right, it's very important that when you get down in position, if your natural point of aim isn't on your target, that you move the entire position onto your target. If you try to steer the rifle to the target, whether it be left, right, up, or down, you're inducing muscle tension, which we all know is going to cause fatigue and cause extra movement in the rifle. All right. Again, check the natural point of aim to assure the body is correctly pointed at the target. Close your eyes when you get in position, let everything relax, then open your eyes and look and see where your rifle is pointed. If you're not on target or within a few inches of your target, you need to pick your entire position up and move it around to where when you get down on the rifle and you're relaxed, you're pointing at your target. All right. As you open your eyes, after you close them and relaxed, you open them up, you should be focused on that target, or you should be seeing that target through the sights, rather. All right, if the sights are not on the target, move your entire position. Remember that very, very small movements in your position have huge movements downrange. So even though you're 3 feet off of your target, you may not only need to move your body a half inch or so to get it naturally pointed at your target. All right, so here we have 5 factors of a solid position. All right, you have your non-firing hand, you have the rifle butt placement, you have your firing hand, your stock weld, and your elbows. We're going to walk through each one of these and show you how to correctly place your firing hand, the rifle butt, your stock weld on the rifle. All right, your non-firing hand should have enough grip pressure to control the rifle without causing fatigue, meaning you don't have to crush the front end of the rifle. Just hold it strong enough to keep it from sliding up and down on the rifle through recoil. All right, the rifle butt placement in the shoulder should be placed firmly and consistently in your shoulder. All right, the height of the rifle butt placement will vary depending on the position that you're in. As you can see, the lower you are to the ground, say in prone, the rifle's a little bit lower in the shoulder. In a kneeling position, the rifle is going to be higher in the shoulder in order to keep your head vertical and upright. Okay. Your firing hand. As you can see in both of these pictures, the shooter has a high, firm grip on the pistol grip. This is going to isolate the movement of the trigger finger and allow you to squeeze straight to the rear with the trigger finger without moving the rifle. Again, remember to hold the trigger to the rear through the entire shot process until recoil has ceased and then reset. All right, stock weld. Again, your head should be vertical and upright to apply pressure on the stock. All right, using the mass of your cheek and not your cheekbone on the stock is going to allow you to keep that good, consistent sight alignment. All right, so we start by putting our chin on top of the stock and dragging the skin down until we get full weight of your head on the stock and your eye behind the sight. Okay, next we have our elbows. Your non-firing elbow should be placed as far underneath the rifle as possible. This is the elbow on your non-firing hand side. You want to keep it almost directly underneath the rifle to where your magazine is just resting against your arm. This is going to ensure that the full weight of that rifle is coming straight down through the bone to your support, to your platform. All right, if your elbow is out from underneath the rifle, you're going to notice that you're holding the rifle up using muscle tension. It's going to cause fatigue. All right, and your firing elbow in either position, be it prone or kneeling, is going to fall naturally. Be sure not to hold the elbow up to create muscle tension in the shoulder. Just let your elbow fall naturally until it stops and gets where it needs to be. In the prone position, you're going to use that firing hand elbow like a kickstand on a bicycle. You're going to get just enough pressure in there on that elbow to make sure your position is solid. Okay, so again, the purpose of a firing position is to support the two basic fundamentals of marksmanship, which are sight alignment and trigger control. Now we're going to go through an actual firing position with a soldier and a rifle and show you what each element of that position should look like. Sergeant Crody is going to get into a prone, unsupported firing position. As you can see, he's a left-handed shooter, meaning his left hand is his firing hand, his right hand is his non-firing hand. All right, as you can see, on his non-firing hand, it's placed underneath the rifle. He's just keeping enough grip pressure to keep his hand from sliding back and forth on that rifle. His non-firing elbow is as close to underneath the rifle as possible. This ensures that the full weight of that rifle is going straight down through his arm into the ground. He's not holding it up with muscle support. All right, coming back to his firing side hand, if you can see it in the camera, you can tell he has a high, firm handshake grip on that pistol grip. This is going to allow his trigger finger to fall naturally on that trigger and allow him to squeeze it straight to the rear without moving that rifle at all. His firing hand elbow is just placed naturally on the ground, wherever it falls when he gets in position. He rolls right over into position. The elbow acts as a kickstand, keeping his position nice and stable. All right, as you can see on the shooter's cheek, he has the full weight of his head rested on that rifle. He starts with his chin on top of the stock. He drags the skin down until he can see through the sights. This allows the shooter to keep the full weight of that head on the rifle and his dominant eye directly behind that rear sight, allowing him to have correct sight alignment. All right, the rifle is placed firmly in the pocket of the shoulder. Again, it's going to be lower in the prone position in the shoulder than it would be, say, when the shooter's in kneeling or standing. All right, coming back to the body position behind the rifle. As you can see here, Sergeant Crody's body is almost directly behind the rifle. This is going to allow him to fire a shot, the rifle to recoil, and his body absorb that recoil without the rifle jumping around out in front. If he were to kick his body out to the side, his body wouldn't be behind the rifle, and recoil would move him much more than it would have in the earlier position. All right, so keep your body as close to behind the rifle as you can. This is going to vary from shooter to shooter because all of us are built in different ways. All right, a normal size, say 5'10" male, normal build is going to be able to get behind the rifle and absorb that recoil just like this. As you can see here, Sergeant Crody is using the bent knee firing position, meaning he's bringing his firing side knee up to take some of the pressure off of his diaphragm, making it easier for him to lay in position for a longer time and keep breathing easily. All right, the other variation of this position is what we call the spread leg firing position. This is nothing more than kicking your feet straight out, keeping your heels down, and keeping your body behind that rifle. This puts a little bit more pressure on the shooter's chest and can be a little bit harder to breathe in, especially if you have kit on. So most of us like to shoot with the bent knee firing position. Again, especially if you have kit, it makes it a lot easier for you to breathe. Okay, so now that we've went through prone firing position, we're going to bring our shooter into a good solid kneeling firing position. All right, as you can see here, from the elbows up, he looks almost exactly the same as he did while he was in the prone firing position, with the exception of the rifle being a little bit higher in his shoulder, and this is only to keep his head upright and solid on that stock. Again, the higher you get away from the ground, the higher that buttstock is going to get in your shoulder. All right, again, on this non-firing hand, he has a good solid grip on the front end. The hand is choked back a little bit on the handguard, farther than it was in prone, This is again to help that rifle come up to his head and not bringing his head down to the rifle. His non-firing elbow is almost, again, directly underneath the rifle. The two places that you want to place your non-firing elbow on the knee are either keeping the ball of your elbow out in front of the kneecap or placing the ball of your elbow in the meat behind the kneecap. All right, what you don't want to do is place bone on bone to where it rolls around during recoil. You want to have a good solid position either out in front of the kneecap or with that elbow behind the kneecap, pushing straight down into your leg, transferring the weight of the rifle and the weight of your upper body straight down to the ground. All right, again, his firing side elbow is just hanging naturally down. He's not holding it up, inducing any muscle tension there. He's just letting it fall naturally and keeping everything relaxed. His firing hand, again, is a high, firm handshake grip on the pistol grip, allowing his trigger finger to fall naturally on the trigger. His stock weld is, again, achieved by taking the full weight of his head, placing it down on the rifle, allowing his dominant eye to look directly through the sights. All right. As we move down the position, you can see that his forward leg is almost perfectly vertical. This again allows that weight of that rifle in his upper body to be transferred straight to the ground without inducing any more muscle tension. All right. As you can see here, you have basically 3 points of contact in a kneeling position. You have your forward leg, you have your firing side knee, and then you have your firing side heel, which you're sitting on. All right. This basically creates a triangle. You want to keep this triangle as wide as you comfortably can, allowing your body to stay as stable as you can. If he brought his firing side or his non-firing side foot back towards his other foot, you would see that the base of the position got much smaller, and it's going to be more susceptible to movement through wind, through recoil, or anything else that might happen to him while he's in position. All right, so you want to keep that base of that position as wide as you can, comfortably. All right, this is going to allow you to be more stable in this position. Again, the kneeling position is not a position you're going to get down and stay in for very long. So in order to be able to get up and move very quickly, we try to keep the shooter sitting on their heel. All right, you can sit flat on the foot by rolling your foot around and sitting on it, but this increases the time it takes to get out of this position a pretty good bit. So you want to sit on that heel, allowing you to jump straight up and move after you fire the shot. All right, this is especially if you have kit on where you have that extra weight. In this position, you're going to be able to get straight up without having to do anything else and continue to move. All right, for the shooter to achieve the natural point of aim in the kneeling position, again, he's going to get down in position, get on the rifle, close his eyes, and let his body relax. Once his body is relaxed and stop moving, he's going to open his eyes and look through the sights and see what his rifle is pointing at. If his rifle is not pointing directly at the target, he's going to move his entire position around to get it pointed at the target. He's not going to muscle the rifle over because that would induce that muscle tension, and his position would fall down and get weaker and weaker. All right, so just like the little green army man, if you need him to point into a different area, you move that whole position. All right, if the shooter needs to shift right, they simply either scoop their body around right or stand up, move, and then get back down. All right, again, the kneeling position is not going to be as stable as a good prone supported firing position, but it can be a very, very useful position to be able to fire from. But again, being able to get out of this position and move to another location is very important, so you don't want to sit on the ground. All right. A lot of shooters that we see get down in the kneeling position have a tendency for their front foot to want to wobble side to side. All right, one way we can eliminate or reduce the amount of movement you have here is by taking your toe and the ball of your heel and rotating it out. All right, by inducing this rotation, you're tightening up all the ligaments in the ankle, and it helps tighten that position down and lock it into place. Again, you're not going to be in this position for an extended period of time, so you can get down there, check your natural point of aim, induce a little bit of tension in that lower ankle, and help stabilize that position for the 1 or 2 shots you're going to take, and then get up and continue to move.